Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Black Biz Banter. We are so excited today on this eve of this exciting solar eclipse to have with us a very, very special guest. I should have asked you, is it doctor? I just want to call you
No, it is
doctor.
not that. Thank you. I have a couple of degrees, but not a PhD. So yeah,
We have to talk about all of that. This is Christine, the highly esteemed Christine Taylor-Butler with us, who is going to talk about the upcoming April 8th solar eclipse. And let me tell you a little bit about her. And she is going to get us all in. We're already vibed out here with the our backgrounds and in space and such. So yeah, just buckle up, and this is going to be a fun ride. So Christine Taylor-Butler is the author of more than 90 books, close to 100 books for children, including the True Book series on American history, government, health, and the human body, and science experiments, including, let me mention this now, we're going to mention this several times, solar energy, which is behind me. This is the younger edition of the book Solar Energy. There's also one for children 9 to 13. She's a graduate of Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Christine holds degrees in both civil engineering and art and design. She lives in Kansas City, Missouri, but she's going to be going to Texas
I am.
get the best view of the solar eclipse. So I meant to ask you before, but of course we want to talk with you again after you put your eyes, after you lay eyes on the eclipse. So a warm welcome in the background. You can hear everyone cheering to talk about the solar eclipse and your books on the topic. So, where to begin? How,
Yeah, I do know.
where did you, okay, I remember we talked earlier about our backgrounds being
Yeah.
similar and going into corporate America and such. So talk about when you were in corporate America and how you decided to exit, and then we can get into the solar eclipse.
Oh, okay. So the quick answer is I've always wanted to be a writer, but when you grow up, everybody talks about what are considered real jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Find a real job and benefits and a paycheck
Yes.
um, and I was always good at math and science, and I ended up getting my degrees at MIT. But jobs in engineering, I had done construction over the summers, which I really enjoyed,
Mm.
weren't holding the right clues. And so I ended up working for a startup software company in Cambridge. And there was a lot of venture capital coming in, and it was back when not a lot of people had computers at home. So it was to create software to help executives learn how to use word processing and
Mm.
spreadsheet.
Wow.
But my
Wow.
husband graduated from grad school and did not love the Boston area and got a job in Kansas City. And so that's where we moved. And I thought, well, what am I going to do when I'm here? And I ended up working at Hallmark as an engineer, an engineering manager. Um,
Okay.
but in the evenings, I was interviewing kids for college. And there were so many kids coming in from the suburbs with everything a college would want. But there were so many kids coming from rural areas and urban areas who didn't have the same coaching. So they were showing up at the interviews unprepared. And then I started to see a subset of those kids, even the suburban kids of all color, who were only reading
Uh-oh.
and they weren't reading for. But then I started discovering kids who were reading Harry Potter, but they didn't want to admit it. And I said, well, wait a minute, I'm really good at my reports. I have the highest admission rate of all the interviewers in the Kansas City area.
Oh,
I thought, I really want to write for kids and I want to write things that will get them more engaged. And one day I got a boss who had been my rival for years, and he was coming in and he was going to become my boss. And I said, well, we're grown-ups, and it wasn't working. So I said, I think I quit. And I think it caught him off guard. Um, really caught him off guard. And I
mm-hmm.
said, I have a $6 million project coming in early and under budget. And I have 100 people who know what to do, but I'm not working for you anymore. And so everyone said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I guess I'm going to write children's books. But I had kids and a car payment and a house payment. So I had to make it my full-time job. So
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's a leap of faith.
It took 3 years to get my first book published. And so we were burning through savings, but my husband was really, really tolerant. And honestly, if you're not working a corporate job, you're not getting dry cleaning and you're not eating out. And
Yes,
so we were
absolutely.
able to make it work on my savings or our savings and his salary until I started, my job. And so, yeah.
And
So
peace of mind. Wow.
yeah, it is less money, but it's a much better quality of life that we have in the
There
family.
we go. Well
Yeah.
said. Well put. Okay, so so the sun, this April 8th eclipse from 2:27, about an hour, looks like 2:27 to 3:35 Eastern Daylight Time.
But in every area, it's probably going to be 3 to 4 minutes. So they talk about how long this eclipse is going to last. And it may be that the total eclipse, when the sun is completely blocked by the moon, that part, depending on where you are, could be anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes.
Oh my,
It'll be really short,
I
but the
see.
amount of time that it's traveling will take much longer. Um,
Okay, okay.
so I have colleagues from high school, and we have our own Facebook page, and someone says, "Do you want to go to Austin?" And we'll just have a mini unofficial reunion. So a lot of us are going to Austin and to watch the.
Oh,
I
okay.
will,
So
I'll be leaving tomorrow.
very, very good. And what are you expecting, for have you um well, you've witnessed eclipses before. Is this one special or
I have not paid attention. And in fact, I thought, oh, you need special glasses to see the eclipse. And then I realized in 2017, our college sent all of the alumni glasses, and I still had them
oh
so that you
wow.
could watch the eclipse. So I have sat glasses from 2017,
Mm.
but I'm not 100% sure we had much of an eclipse. I have to go back and look in Kansas City, but my head was someplace else. But now there's so much excitement about this. And
Yes.
I'm like, what's the excitement? And then I realized that um, so you get an eclipse several times a year, but not in the same place and not with this much fanfare. And because of the way the earth rotates and turns around the sun, any one place will only get a total eclipse once every 100 years. So
Oh,
it's not common.
okay. Wow.
So yeah, I had to go to NASA
Interesting.
and look this up, and I said, is there more that I am missing? Um, because this should happen more often than it does, and it does. It happens very often, but rarely in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the track this year, it only goes to certain states as it's traveling across the United States. And so it's coming up through Texas and headed towards like Cleveland, where my sister is going to be with some of our relatives. She's going to go to Cleveland because they will get a total eclipse. And I think Austin is going to get a total eclipse, but our location will be a little bit shorter than the places that are right in the middle of the path.
Oh, I see. And so in Illinois, how are we going to experience
No,
experience it.
You know what? I'm gonna go, let's see, I'm going to look up path of 2024 eclipse. I used to have a map and I don't have it
Mm.
up now. Let's see, don't allow. And I'm gonna look at the image because I want to see an image. And if I'm looking at it, let's see, Scientific America has a really good one.
Oh,
It's going to completely bypass Chicago.
no.
It is going to,
Completely bypass.
it
You
is,
will not
yeah.
see it at all.
You might see a partial eclipse, but you won't see the total eclipse.
Oh my.
So they literally there was one little obscure town that was on television yesterday, and most of the town is gone. You know, people have moved. There are people who really love living there, but there's not much of a downtown. But they went to one of the, hotels that is left, and they said, "What is the rate normally?" And he says $99 a night. And he says, "What's the rate for the eclipse?" He says $500 a night. It's been sold out for a while. So the town is going to,
Wow.
all the stores are excited, and they're going to put chairs up on the main drag so that, because they are
Mm.
going to be in the middle of this eclipse as it's
Oh my. Oh my. And I was gonna tell our audience in case they didn't know, Adler Planetarium is supposed to have glasses, and
Mhm.
there are some libraries in the Chicago area also that are gonna have glasses to
Yes.
give
So
out.
I think you guys will get a partial, but there's like this one narrow strip as it's going across the United States that will get the total eclipse. And and then there are planes now that are going to be following it, which is kind of
Oh,
interesting. And they are all sold out.
oh, that is really exciting. Now, talk about what you see during an eclipse. Are the solar flares and stuff, are those easier to identify? What else is
Well,
happening is going to be, should be
yes,
looked out for?
but it's more watching kind of the movement of, most people don't know you can see the moon most every day, all day. There's certain times of year when you can't see it. But this,
Mm.
so I think part of the excitement and the reason why they want people to have the glasses is because you're going to be watching the moon as it's moving into position. And then once it completely covers the sun for that very quick time, you can look, I think, without glasses, but it's not really recommended because the sun is so bright. Like they
Mhm.
have people who get eye damage from it. So I think it's not just the total eclipse, but it's the process of moving in front of the sun and then moving away. And I know we were on the Navajo reservation one year, and we were staying for 2 weeks. And I was doing some research on the people there for a book, and we were watching the sunset, and then we'd watch the sunrise. And at one point, we went out into the country and somebody says, "We see the day," and I said, "But I don't."
Mm.
And so it was fascinating for me to keep taking pictures as the sun was setting in the horizon. And so I don't know what to expect. I'm going with no expectations. I just know everyone's so excited. But once the moon is in front of the sun, then you can see the flares coming out the side,
Okay,
um, which will be
much
interesting.
better, probably.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm thinking it's gotta be better when the center is black, but
Yeah.
there's still, it's Corona, right? Is that the proper name?
And you think about how bright the sun is. So you need those dark glasses. And I put mine on and I can see a really bright LED bulb very faintly.
Mm,
So I'm thinking I can
mm.
probably see the sun much better. But that's the only way you can watch is to have the glasses. And they tell you be really careful where you get the glasses because there's so many people putting fakes out. So
Oh,
if you have the glasses on and you can see stuff, those aren't going to work. If you
I
put the
see.
glasses on in your house or outside and it's dark, you can't see anything, those will work.
And what color are the glasses so that you're able to look?
They're black on one side and silver on another. I have
Okay, I think
um
I missed what you just said. The
so they're black on one side and so they're black on
wow, you're freezing again. Black on one side, I heard that.
and silver on the other side, silver on the
Oh,
outside.
silver.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. To reflect away, to
Mhm.
protect. Okay, got it. Got it.
I mean, really, I mean, you don't want to be blue just because you wanted a 3 minute look at the, or a much longer look. So
Hmm.
if you think about this, we have white surfaces in our backyard, and even when the sun is at its brightest, I will come in, my eyes will hurt a little bit just because it's so bright and it's bouncing.
Hmm.
And I have grown up knowing you don't look directly at the sun. You can see it off in the distance through a window, and there's usually clouds and things like that, but you don't stare directly at the sun just because it's so strong.
Right, right. And I thought the only safe hour the golden hour where it's, just risen, or is is that also
I
uh
don't know, because I always look at it when it's rising and falling. But on the other hand, if you think we have east and west streets in Kansas City, and when I'm driving, you know, west and it's setting, it's really hard to see. That's why you put the windshields down in your car.
mm-hmm.
I'm driving east, and I was like, I really wish the road would go in a different direction. So,
Right, right, right.
um, and then you put on your sunglasses, but even then with the sunglasses, you're not supposed to be looking directly at the sun. It's just to help you
Okay.
see everything else. So, yeah, no, I'm really excited. I have a lot of nerdy classmates who are going, and Austin seems to be excited about it. And so people will be doing things all weekend, waiting for this short amount of time in the afternoon on Monday, for the solar eclipse. So
So, what's I gonna say? Do you have special equipment to take photographs,
no.
or maybe
And
different?
I've been told that unless you have really specific filters, you're not going to see much anyway. I tried once taking pictures of the moon when it was at its brightest, and it didn't have the right filters. And so I was getting a
Mm.
lot um, of disturbance. So no, I'm gonna be that person who, I'm a mom, so I'm always photographing my kids and
Yes.
recording the plays. And I thought, this time I'm just gonna go enjoy it. I don't have to have a picture. There'll be tons on the internet that other people will try to
Right. But it
put
will
on.
be it it seems like, there's going to be a different feel during it with this, since it's a unique time.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
haven't experienced it before, so
No.
it seems
And and
like
And I'm wondering, I'll have to go back and see if Kansas City got it in 2017. So someplace in the world will get it during the year, and it'll happen more than once. But for the United States, this is a big deal.
mhm. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I hope that the audience's appetite now has been whet appropriately to decide to venture out and seek more information through one of her 100 books that's available. Two specifically on the sun. One is behind me. I keep trying to.
Yes.
One is behind me. This is the junior version of solar energy. And I guess I can change. Yeah, I can change my backgrounds in real time now.
Yes, I was really sad because, back in 2014, I wrote a book about the sun, and it's still in libraries, but it's hard to buy. So we're not talking about that one. But in general, the books about solar energy is so that kids and adults can take things they have around the house and then experiment. So if you think about the sun as being this gigantic nuclear engine, right, or nuclear reactor is what it is.
Mhm.
Um, and it's pretty far away, but it is 100% of why Earth is warm. And um, I was reading something in one of the books about how our entire solar system is orbiting in the Milky Way. And it said, we are traveling the entire solar system at 515,000 miles an hour in the Milky Way. But it takes 230 million years to complete one trip.
Wow.
So
Wow.
the universe is just huge. And so we think of the solar system and the sun and our place in it. But my daughter made the observation that when you are looking at stars, a lot of those stars are actually suns in other solar systems.
Mm, mm.
And because of how long it takes
The
for
light.
light to travel, some of those suns might not be around anymore. And we're just now seeing the light, you
That's
know.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I had an astronaut say the other day that if our sun just totally went dark, if something happened to our sun and it stopped working, it would be 4 minutes before we knew it.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Interesting. And we're so dependent on it. And yet, you know, there's not this kind of heightened talk about it until it's going to be eclipsed.
No, no, yeah,
Wait,
yeah, I think it's pretty great.
do you have solar panels? Are you
I
harnessing
do
the
not.
sun's energy?
My neighbors do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they bought their house right around the time that there were all kinds of grants that you could get, and the electric company was offering incentives. So they have solar panels on their garage, which they have an apartment now on the second floor of their garage, and on the back of their house. And then when we looked into it, it was really expensive, and the contractors around the state had taken up all of the grants. They had requested them, so there
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
anything else for us to grab. So at some point, I'm thinking about it because there's a lot to be said about having the solar energy. And I lived in
Yes.
Kansas City where the electric grid after a storm was down for more than a week.
Well,
And so, we still had gas, so I could cook, and we had a fireplace, so we could be warm. Um, but having the solar panels is actually, I'm waiting for the price to come down and the reliability to go up. But my neighbors love their solar panels. Yeah.
I definitely know people who, have ventured into that space. And I think there'll be a lot more talk about these types of things after the eclipse. And I want to encourage everyone, right, to, you know, engage in conversation with your children through books like this.
Yeah.
After an event like this, where, the stars, there's no limits to
No. And if you
right,
think about it, really there's a lot of fossil fuel companies that are like really, not in favor.
right,
And
right,
then I live in the Midwest, which is Tornado Alley. So we have a lot of clouds and we have a lot of storms. Somebody will say, oh, there's this great thing going on at night, and there's, all these there's a comet coming in or something. We go out and it's cloudy. But I do tell people, if you think about living in Africa, for instance,
hmm,
what is your greatest source of energy? And it's the sun, the sun for
yes,
heating, the sun
yes,
for cooking. And, we come in with all of our American ideas for, here's how you can do X, Y, and Z. And I'm going, no, why don't we go with what their assets are? There's there's not the same pollution levels if you're using solar energy to cook or to do certain things. And so I think we'll get there. I'm a
Oh,
science writer, so yeah.
absolutely. Thanks to books like yours.
Oh, well,
To
I wanted kids to have fun, and I also wanted adults to have fun. And when I do school visits, I've had kids, even really young kids at the end tell their parents, oh, okay, we need to go to the store and we need to get this and we need to get this. And I always try to make it the cheapest things possible,
so
so
you
that
have crafts, you were saying you have crafts
well, when we do the
or
experiments, do you know what I mean? I mean, a solar
Mhm.
energy experiment can also be plants. If
Mhm.
you think about how plants react to light or don't react to light. Um, so I always try to make it accessible. And one of the things that I really love about when I was doing these books for Cherry Lake was I could relate it to things that we're actually seeing when we're out of the house, you know, because I don't think people think about the sun until it's something like this. And it's like, oh, okay, it's an eclipse, but the sun is there every day. And if you
Mhm.
think about it, vitamin D, right? Um, and I have to be exposed to the sun more because my skin is darker, but vitamin D is better when it comes directly from the sun than if you're just taking a pill. Um, it's in the food. So it is 100% of or a very large percentage of why life exists the way it does on Earth.
Yes, yes. And it's deserving of
Mhm.
further exploration. Definitely. It's free. It's free energy.
It's free, it's reliable, it's not going to go out anytime in our lifetime or our
Mm.
kids' lifetime. And so I'm looking at solar energy and I've got, clean water from solar power. How does your garden grow? Make a hot dog, do it yourself. It's all things people don't think about. It's like,
Mhm.
get an old pizza box and cut a hole and then put something clear on the top. And
Mhm.
black tends to hold and radiate heat. So you can make just a small oven and bake cookies outside. It's
From a
just,
pizza box.
yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that is super accessible. Everybody's got a pizza box.
So it's like, okay,
Wow.
so experiment with clean water, and I'm showing kids how to mix things and put them in water and then how to create clean water. And it's hard to explain how much you can do with sunlight.
Wow.
So it's funny because I would hold up the book, but because we have green screens, it reacts weird to the green color of the book.
Mm.
Like, yeah,
Okay, yeah. We can't
yeah,
see it at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Well, I want to thank you wholeheartedly for giving me the time just before the eclipse to chat about this. And of course, invite you back because tell us about your upcoming, whatever you can share about upcoming books.
So I have a book about the phases of the moon coming out at Raycraft, probably the end of the year.
Okay.
And I have a special thing, a special NASA thing, but that's not coming out for 2 years, so I can't say what that is
Okay.
just yet. Um,
Ooh.
uh, a book about kids doing an overnight visit to the zoo and all the things that you can do when you
Oh,
go with your
wow.
class to the zoo and stay overnight, and a kid who is cynical. And that will be coming out at Benchmark Education. And then I'm really excited about the Lost Tribe series, which is really about 5 kids whose parents may or may not be telling them the truth about who they really are. And it's
Mm.
science fiction, so it's not going to go a logical place. And the publisher of that series was bought out by a larger publisher that's going to restart the series. So um, they're going to do some redesigning. We're going to still keep the covers, but if you've seen the second book and you take the book cover off, um, on the jacket, there's a lot of stuff that's going on the inside of the jacket. Usually you open it up and it's just blank.
Mhm.
Um, so they want to do that for the first and
Oh,
third book. And then we're going to look at putting out more things so readers can see a little bit more about what the characters look like. But it is one of the few multicultural kids series that are out there. So I say it's a little like Harry Potter, but it's more science-based. So
oh,
no
excellent.
spells, but a lot of science.
And this is so important, like on this book that's behind me, having a beautiful brown face on there. Makes the students will know they can identify and say, oh, wow, that's me. I can do that too. So
Yeah.
thank you for, paying attention to that aspect, which is not the, content inside, but it's the covers make all the difference,
Yeah,
in the
they
first
do.
impression for the parents and the children to make their decision. So thank
Yeah,
you for
I think
that.
it's important for kids to feel like they're part of something. And I will, the last thing I'll say is, um, a couple of years ago when George Floyd was killed, everybody was saying, where are the books on racism I can give my kids? And, I went on Twitter and I said, you know what? Kids exposed to trauma don't want to be flooded with more books about trauma. This is an
Mhm.
adult thing. I said, we do that every February, where it's like, okay, how many more books can we talk about? That is, you know, that's oppression month. And I said, there are more Black cardiologists than basketball players.
Wow.
So I said,
Wow.
for every book that you give a kid, any kid of any color, about oppression or injustice, give them 20 books of joy. You
There
know,
you go. I love that ratio, 1 to 20.
I got
I
a
love
half a
it.
million views in the first week and 2,500 retweets. And a teacher said, thanks for giving me permission to try something different. And I said, well, I'm an engineer. We tried that other stuff. We've been trying it for decades.
Indeed.
How about now? If my daughters want a bike or they want to do a science experiment with the sun, it's because they want to do a science experiment. The kids, sometimes let's let kids be kids and have fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's appropriate age for everything.
Mhm.
And I don't think you can overdo the positive side, and especially in this society where already there's so much on the other side, it has to be at least balanced out. So 1 to 20, that sounds balanced to me.
So yeah, so grab a book and definitely I want people to support your store.
Thank
Um,
you.
and it, but for those of you who cannot support the store, try the library. That's good for
Absolutely.
publishers too, but we need independent bookstores to survive. Because if you think about it, Walden Books is gone, and there's so many bookstores that are struggling, but it's the independent bookstores that are struggling the most. So I want bookstores like yours to continue to be successful. So I tell people, please go there. And then, yeah, do science experiments with the sun. It's free energy. You
Mhm.
don't have to buy it. It's cheap. It's in your backyard. And if
Right.
something doesn't work, you can try it again. But I tried to come up with things that were easy to do and fun, but you still get the point of the exercise.
Well, this is such a wonderful preview,
Oh,
um, or what am I trying to say? An appetizer to the solar eclipse. Thank you so much for being with us today. And thanks to the audience for listening. This is going to be on our podcast, and it's going to be on YouTube and wherever else I can think of. Maybe I'll chop it up and put some of it on Facebook or something. But yeah, of course, I'm personally interested in STEM related, and that you have like 100 books on the topic. It's a
yeah,
point of pride, absolutely. So
thank you.
thank you for your dedication and for your focus.
I appreciate being asked. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So I'm going to stop here. It's